The presence of the bears on the Ghana Stock Exchange has been very strong since the beginning of the year, and James Affol is here to take us through the performance of the equity market for today, and then we'll do assessment of the month of February. James, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you. Now, walk us through the market for today.
Well, I think today wasn't bad at all. In all, there wasn't any price change, so if you could see that the points are zero. And to me, I think it is good for the market because for the past weeks, we've been experiencing downward trend, most often price decline in value. And that has even made the year-to-day return to be in negative trajectory. So I think today has been a good day, if I should put it that way.
All right, so let's look at the volumes that were traded today.
In terms of volume, we did a little over 17 million cedis, and the value is 1.87. And mostly because for the most traded equity, MTN as usual was the most traded equity for today. And car was the second most traded equity, as you can see from the board.
That's 215,000. Wow.
Then we have ETI, that recording 66,400 cedis. And that of EGL also did little above 16,000 cedis. So these are the top traded equities for today.
All right. Now let's look at the month of February. Now, which equities were the laggards? Which equities were the gainers for the month of February?
In all, 7 price changes were recorded. 3 gainers and 3 laggards. The gainers were CAL. The stock price appreciated by 3.66%. And we have Guinness Ghana, also increased in value by 17.78. Then SIC surprisingly inched up by 144.3%.
Wow.
For the month of February. For the laggards, we have Access. It's declined in value by 29.82. Indeed, that is a major driver of the performance of the market for the month of February.
Access
Bank.
Wow.
That of BOP also went up by 9.77. GCB went up by marginally by 0.76. And MTN also went down by 5.41%.
What do you think made maybe investors trying to maybe offload their shares in Access Bank?
Well, Access was listed in 2016. So far, they've not been able to pay dividends because there are some regulatory measures that they need to meet. BOG has made it point blank that any financial institution that is listed, before you pay dividend, there's a threshold of a capital adequacy ratio that you have to meet. And so far, they've not been able to. Last year, they wanted to pay during their mid-press ceremony. They made it point blank that they wanted to pay, but then they were not in that threshold. They couldn't meet that benchmark. So hopefully, their financial for 2021 is not released yet, and I'm very hopeful that they will be able to meet that benchmark, and that will actually help them to pay. So investors, basically, you purchase an instrument, you've not gotten anything, and looking at the current economic condition, you may be tempted to dispose some of the asset that you have. So that's the reason why people are now selling, because you've not gotten any dividend for the past 6 years. So
but BOP also showed some signs there.
BOP, its own is just a temporary decline. It's just a temporary shock that we witness. Okay. Excess of supply overbid. So it is not something that we need to worry about much.
Right. Today, we've seen this week some equities or some companies are coming up with their financials for last year. Which companies are that?
SIC, for instance, has come out with its financial for 2021. I think they've also declared dividend payments. So that's why investors are rushing to buy the instrument. So for the month of February alone, it went up by more than 100% increase.
Wow.
Price, yes. So people are actually buying, hoping that by June or by the end of the second quarter, they will be able to get something in the form of dividends.
So SIC, it's year high and low. What is it now?
For last year, it was around 5 pesos, and it has risen. As at now, for the month of July, it has went by up to 15 pesos. So wow. I think it is doing quite well on the bourse.
Now MTN, I've seen that MTN have also released its financials. Yes.
And that was yesterday or so. And it has also started reflecting. Yesterday, the price of MTN went up by 3 pesos, interestingly. As soon as the financials were released, people started buying. Yeah, so it has started appreciating in value. And I know definitely they'll pay dividends this year.
So it's obvious that any company that perhaps releases financials and investors see that it's
been doing well.
They are likely to.
It boosts their confidence to actually purchase. What is happening now is the general economic condition that we are witnessing. You know, inflation is up, fuel prices keep changing, but then income level of consumers in general hasn't gone up. So people are always forced to get extra income from somewhere. So if you have an asset, you may be tempted to sell. Besides, interest rate for most of the money market instruments, like the bills, the T-bills, and the cocoa bills, are also going up gradually. Even the data that we have from Ghana fixed income indicated that increase in fixed income investment went up by almost 3 billion.
Wow.
For the months. So that is having some slight negative impact on the stock market, because whenever interest rate increases, investors shift their attention to fixed income instruments that it tends to affect the purchasing or patronage of the stock on the market.
How does perhaps the decline in value of the CD also affect investment activities on the market?
Normally, it depends. If indeed you are a foreign investor, then you purchase some instruments. Obviously, when it is sold, it has to be repatriated. So if indeed whatever you've gotten is not much, you may not be able to get a lot of returns when it is converted into foreign currencies.
So looking at the month of March, yesterday was a bit positive. You look at the performance of the composite index, and today is flat, like you said, is good for the market. What do you foresee going forward? Well,
now that the financials are being released gradually, I think the confidence level will come back. Because yesterday it was a good day. We recorded a gain, and today there wasn't any gain. But if you look at the volume trade, it seems it has gone up. And per the bid and offer dynamics that we have, I won't be surprised if indeed we move closely from the negative trajectory that we've been recording from beginning of the year.
So you are certain that you are hoping that by the close of March, we'll move out of
things will normalize. When the financials comes and companies declare dividend, investors basically will go in for this instrument. That's what happened last year, and it's affected the market positively. Most of the companies paid dividend last year. And so once that the financials are coming up, the dividend payments announcement will also be made. And then investors will now have the confidence to also buy.
You know, elsewhere we've seen the war in Russia all over the place having effects on stock market, but it looks as if our own seem to be a bit disconnected from.
Yeah, it depends on the company in question. You know, for oil, for instance, we know the supply of oil will be affected.
Okay.
Because of Russia happening to be the major player in the industry. But if you take some of the industry like the food and beverages, no matter what happens, you can't say because there's war, you won't be able to eat. Telecommunication, for instance, the service that they provide, more or less, in economy, we say they have inelastic demand. No matter what we need them, we need to buy data to make us do this. So demand for some of these stocks always will be high. It won't be affected by what is happening.
So demand for stocks like Total, Tallow,
they may be affected gradually. They may be affected, but the food and beverages, like the Guinness Ghana, the MTN, may not. And the financial stocks, too, I think they won't be affected much.
All right. That is James Afo. We've been looking at the performance of the stock exchange for the month of February, and he's hoping that come this month of March, it's likely that we'll move away from the negative terrain and move to the bullish realm, hopefully. So we go for a short break. When we come back, we're trying to hook up with the executive director of our EPA in the person of Dr. Henko Kwabran Kukufu to look at the carbon trading venture that Ghana intends to, assess or enter into as we plan to plant 20 million trees. To Market Avenue. We have on the line Dr. Harry Kwabena Kokofu, Chief Executive of EPA Ghana, to talk to you about the 20 million trees Ghana intend to plant come June 10, 2022. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
Great. Now, we did 5 million trees last year, and we plan to do 20 million trees this year. Let's look at last year. How have we been able to monitor and see the trees that we planted are doing well or not?
Yeah, good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. Last year we launched the maiden Green in Ghana, and as you said, 5 million trees were planted as a target. But I'm happy to say that we exceeded that target to about 7 million. Monitoring has been going on, and Forestry Commission, being the custodians of the forest estate of the Republic, has men and women on the ground who have been checking to see the growth of these trees. I must admit that you won't get 100% success. However, computations put it around 70 to 75% of success. And as we all know, trees will not mature within 24 months. We're looking at 5 years, 4 years, 10 years. That is where we call the stabilization or the maturity period, where the trees will be on their own. So as we speak, they are still under nurturing, and Forestry Commission with its staff and the youth in our forestation are very much in charge. So I can assure the entire nation that most of the trees, about 75 to 80% of the trees planted last year, are very much in good shape, and they are doing well.
Great. This year we've set target of 20 million. Some say it's too ambitious. What is your take?
Yes, of course, it sounds ambitious, but then you need to do that. Considering the number of forest cover that we've lost over the years, and the pace and the frequency, the number, the quantum that we are trying to put in place, or as replacing the lost cover, we are not doing well. So on the instructions of the president, we need to up the game and then make sure as a nation we get things done. It is ambitious, I've already agreed, but consider this. We are talking about 30 million Ghanaians. Is it not the case?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 30 million Ghanaians. So if each and every one of us decide to plant one tree, it means we can do 30 million trees. If you have a child who is 1 year or 2 years old, I don't expect he or she to go down there and plant. The parent can plant in the child's name and for and on behalf of the child. So as others. And so if we have 10% of the population participating in this exercise, and each is prepared to plant about 3 to 5 trees, we should be able to get there. So yes, it sounds ambitious, but it's doable, and that will demonstrate the kind of commitments that Ghanaians have in this side of trying to get back our lost forest cover.
Great. Let's look at the minister hinted that this year we will try to venture in the carbon trade market. How would that benefit us as a country?
Well, the benefit of tree planting is enormous. One has to do with the environmental benefit or the ecological benefit. Here we're talking about climate change, saving the carbon footprint. Trees are known to be very efficient carbon sequestration, that is capturing carbon. And trees are known to give out oxygen, that's improving the air quality that we so much need as humans. So it has not it does not take away the advantages of planting trees. On the commercial side, or the economy of it, the carbon sequestration or the carbon capture comes in its wake what we call carbon market or carbon credit, so we call. Lots of countries, including Switzerland, Sweden, the UK, and I think South Korea, are all in talks with Ghana. When we went to the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, we undertook bilateral agreements and all that, all geared towards giving our tree cover or our tree stands for carbon credit. And it comes with financial consideration. So it is nothing that cannot be achieved. We can achieve that, and we have the buyers ready out there. So the minister, in his wisdom, think, and that is what we're going to do, that the existing forest estate and the tree cover, being it on the reserve or off reserve, we are ready to quantify them, count them, and then put value on them to be on the carbon market. When you look at the program of action within the nationally determined contribution that Ghana presented to the world, I mean the UN Forum for Climate Change, we said that in totality we want to put up this forest cover and then to save other greenhouse gases, including methane, to almost about 64 million metric tons of carbon dioxide and methane gases. We will save all of that, and out of that, 32 or 34 million metric tons will be put on the market, carbon market, where countries can come in and buy, and so the financial flows will come. Those monies that we realize, we'll plow them back into expanding the forest cover, and then also providing alternative livelihoods for those who are affected by putting the trees or the forest on the land, which could have been used for other purposes, including agriculture. So it is something that's been thought of. It is called resource economy, and we work through it, and it's possible, and we can do that.
So from where you sit, with this venture, how is this going to help in mitigating the impact of climate change in Ghana?
Come again.
I'm asking them how it's going to impact on mitigation. I mean, how we're going to mitigate climate change.
Well, the phenomenon, climate change phenomenon, comes in two ways. Normally, I call it climate twin. It is mitigation and then adaptation. Mitigation means stop this, don't do that, don't do this. For instance, you're looking at vehicular emissions. If you have efficient vehicular systems, then you reduce the carbon footprint. That is the quantum of emissions that gets out there. The saying is to stop deforestation. If you deforest, you are increasing the carbon footprint. You are increasing emissions into the atmosphere. So don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Do this. They are called the mitigation. You're trying to mitigate the effect or the impact of climate change. Then we're talking about adaptation. Adaptation means, yes, the impact has caught up with us. So what we do in order to live with it without risking so much or compromising on the living standards of the people. Because we do know that one of the negative impacts of climate change has to do with poverty-related activities or poverty-related issues, including health, including education, including job loss, and all manner of things. So once the impact is there, how do you do to contain it, live with it, and then also make sure that people don't suffer that much? So mitigation is most of the things that we are doing. We are actually doing. But then, in order to be able to realize the full scale of mitigation measures, as well as adaptation measures, we need quantum of money to do that. Currently, our computation puts it to about $9.5 billion at the lower end, and then $15.5 billion at the upper case. We need this kind of what we call climate investment for us to be able to realize what we have got to do. Some of the mitigation measures, if you like, we're looking at e-mobility. That's the electricity vehicles that run on electricity. So then transiting from the use of fossil fuel to power vehicular, our transport system. So if you are doing e-mobility, you require investment in that space. We're looking at nuclear energy production. That will help us to augment the energy mix. And our dependence on fossil fuel will then be very much limited. You need money to undertake certain investment.
All right.
So, yes, it's a long way to go. It's something that is ambitious, but then with the nation, we have got to plan and then work through it. Yeah.
And finally, as we wrap up, with this drive to plant 20 million trees and what we did last year, you said 75% are doing very well. What are we doing to make sure that Galamsey activities does not hurt these trees?
Yes, very soon we'll be rolling out a comprehensive landscape reclamation and restoration, where mined out areas are going to be reclaimed and then revegetated. And the program will find a space for job creation and alternative livelihoods for the community members, particularly the youth who are very much engaged in the lower ebb of the Galamsey activity. So once we find job for them to do, we are very much confident that the fight against Galamsey will very much be minimized. The impact will be minimized. And we'll continue to do what we can to stop that menace. But then we do not, as it were, have to throw our hands there and say that we cannot do anything about that. No, we have plans to do that. And trust me, we shall soon get there.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Harry Kwabena Kokofu of EPA, for your time. Today is how we wrap up on this midweek edition of our Market Avenue. My name is Edward Nyakun. God will come your way tomorrow. Shalom.